let's have a look at bearings. A bearing is just an angle, but it's a special angle. As a special angle, as a bearing, I would have to write 0, 3, 0 degrees. So it always has to be 3 parts here. If I was going to write 120 degrees, that is the same. 1 degree, 0, 0, 1 degree as a bearing. So that's the first important thing to know. The other important thing to know is bearings always go from north. So you have to start north and then work out your angle from there. So let's have a little look at a bearing. Okay, so bearing from B to A. So with bearings, you always start at the from. So it's from B to A. So I always start at the from, which is B in this case, and I always start from north. So you always start by drawing. In a lot of exam questions, they already have this north bit written out for you. So you always start from north and you always start from. And then bearing from B to A, so we know bearing is an angle. So we measure the angle from B to A, which is this bit here, and that will be your bearing. So you grab your protractor and you measure this angle here. I don't have one of those nice useful 360 degree protractors, so for me this is going to be a bit of a faff, but for you this should be a bit more simple. So for example, I know that about, can we just also point out this is very rough, so that bit there is going to be 90 degrees, and then I need this bit here. So if I use the protractor, let's say that's about 30 degrees, so 90 degrees plus 30 degrees, if you only have half a protractor, is 120 degrees. So that is the bearing. Let's look at another example. Okay, so here I've got bearing of honey from bee. So this is my little bee who wants the honey. Also, it's probably a wasp, but you know, go with. And then this is my honey. Really good honey. I'm not trying to promote it, but Coed Canlis Welsh honey is the great taste of 2014, and it still is the great taste of 2019. Back to maths. Bearing of honey from bee. So first of all, we need to start where our from. So from B. Then our next step again is to do a north. So we're going to start from the B and try not to move him. I'm just going to do a point where the bee actually is, just in case he does fly away. And bearing of honey from bee. And we're going to the honey, so I'm just going to draw a line to the honey. Look at the protractor also acting as a ruler. So now what do? We start at north, and you always have to go, always, 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 this is very important. You always have to go clockwise. Okay, so you can't just take the convenient, we'll take the smaller angle. No, 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 no. Always go clockwise, and clockwise is the way a clock ticks. So if you think about it, it kind of goes this way around, your little hour hand. We don't go that way. So that's clockwise. So we've got to measure this angle from the north line to here. So again, with my faffy little protractor, the way I'm going to do this is I know from here to about here is 180 degrees. So now I need to know this angle and add it on. According to my protractor, that was about 60 degrees, so we know this whole angle here is 180 plus 60, which is 240 degree bearing. Let's move on to some exam examples. Okay, so this is our first example. This is not to scale. Can we just clarify that now? And it's asking bearing of A from P, bearing of B from P. So first one, bearing of A from P. So what do? We start at the from P. Okay, so we found P, and then we draw the north line. Well, it's done it for us, thinks we're that lazy. And then we want to go to A, but we have to go clockwise, which in this way makes sense. So as we can see, we're going from the north line to A, so that one, that angle there that it's already given us, which is 60 degrees. That's wrong. Remember, that's not how we write a bearing, because a bearing is a special angle. So this is actually written as 060 degrees. So that's what it's trying to trick you out on there. Like, yes, it's given you the north line. Yes, it's given you the angle. You just could literally write it down. But no, it hasn't got that 0. So, you know, look out for that. Bearing, next one, bearing of B from P. So again, we start at the from P and we draw a north line. So we're at P and we draw a north line, but we don't because it's already there. And now we want the bearing. And the less eagle-eyed amongst us just take this angle here, gave it to us there, it's given it to us there. Nice, lovely, job done. No, we have to go clockwise. And that to me is anti-clockwise. It's also anti-clockwise to you and absolutely everybody else. So we're going from P to B and we're going clockwise. We start at this north line and we go this way around. So we actually want this big angle here. And using the information we have, I'm just going to draw out the bits we want. So we've got, and we're after this bit. If we zoom into there, we have what is this. And that looks like a circle. And how many degrees are there in a circle? There are 360. So we know that this angle here is 360 minus this bit here, so all the way around minus this bit, 140, which is 0 minus 0 is 0, 6 minus 4 is 2, and 3 minus 1 is 2. So then the answer is 220 degrees, that bit there. Okay, so this is our question. So we've got a diagram here, and then the first part is measure bearing of B from A. So we have the from A, so we know we start there, and then we draw a north line, which we already have got, and then we go clockwise to B. So we want this angle here, and it says measure, so we get out our protractor, do a little lovely rough. I'm going to call that 65, because I've just measured it randomly, and that'll do. So we found the angle from A to B is 65. It's not asking for an angle, otherwise it would literally say measure the angle of B from A, which it's not, it's saying bearing, so it's 065 degrees. So part 2, another mast C, so these are all masts, is on a bearing of 160 degrees from B. On map C, on a map, C is 4 centimetres from B, display C. First of all, let's tackle the bearing bit. So mast C is on a bearing of 160 from B. So from B means we're starting at B, draw the north line, it's already there, and then we're going to measure an angle of 160 degrees, which is, oh no, my writing's going to get in the way. So if this is 180, we need to take away 20 degrees, so we need to take away that much, and it's going to be on this line here. If you don't mind, I'm now going to rub out the question because it's in my way. Okay, so now we have worked out that this line here, from there to there, is 160 degrees. I can get rid of this 180 line now. So we know that C, the other mast, is on a bearing of this. It's that angle from B. And then the second part, which I have just rubbed out, said it's 4 centimetres on a map. So mark C. So we know it's somewhere on this line, but we don't know it's somewhere. We know exactly where it is on this line. it's 4 centimetres. So got my ruler here, and I'm now going to measure 4 centimetres from B here, and I know it's on that line. X marks the spot, so C would be put there. And that's all you need to know about bearings.